We need to focus on fine-tuning the system, not replacing it. I've spent 5 years of my adult life living in countries with socialized health care, so I can tell you from firsthand experience, the way it works out in reality is this. Those with connections and influence get the best health care. Those without connections are considered a drain on the system. Ebenezer Scrooge summed up this philosophy nicely when he said, if they would rather die, they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. In Chinese, these special connections that help you get what you want are called guanxi. In Arabic, this kind of pull or influence is called wasta, and I used it myself to get into an Emirati hospital for a surgery that saved my life. As a trained linguist, I predict American English will soon develop its own specialized word for this type of currency. So my advice to you is start building your guanxi and your wasta, because you're going to need it if the government grabs the healthcare industry next to feed its growing appetite for total control. Speaking of which, our founding fathers knew that government needed to have strict limits imposed on it. That's why they wrote the Constitution the way they did, with the division of powers between federal and states, and the three branches of legislative, judicial, and executive. Our current spending problems have their roots in generations of deliberate dismissal of the Constitution's protections. You could trace it back to FDR. You could even trace it back to Lincoln. And I'm from Illinois and I love Lincoln, so it's really hard for me to say that, but it's kind of true. The point is, government is like blackberries in Washington or kudzu in Georgia. It's naturally invasive, and it needs to be cut back from time to time. So many of our government problems can be summed up, understood, and solved by asking just two simple questions. First, what does our Constitution say about this? After all, there's a reason it's the longest lasting constitution in world history. It's brilliant, as long as we'll follow it. And second, what is the mindset or worldview behind this piece of legislation? Our founding documents were groundbreaking because they recognized formally and on paper that the individual is precious, has value, and is born with inalienable rights bestowed on him or her by nature's God, our Creator, including the rights to life, liberty, and property. When you start saying that people are a cancer on the earth, you end up with some pretty sick legislation, which is all about putting anything and everything above those real human rights to life, liberty, and property. Now think about it. Do you really want those people creating your health plan? So I urge you to read the Constitution again and again. You can read it online at constitution.org, click on Founding Documents, or you can order pocket copies at heritage.org for 50 cents. Help your friends get registered to vote. Just pick up a handful of applications at the post office or the library and send them in by July 18th. One per voter, of course. Just checking. You know, we're pretty close to King County. Be an informed voter in every election. The next election is the primary on August 18th, when you can help select who will be on the ballot this November 3rd for your local and county officials, school board members, city council, and so on. And do whatever you can to help elect a new wave of citizens who will uphold our remarkable Constitution. Speaking of which, yes, I have the formal announcement to make. I, Elizabeth Scott, am hereby announcing my candidacy for State Representative, 21st Legislative District. And when we were thinking about this, I said, I'm going to do that at a tea party on the 4th of July. I will technically be representing the northern half of Edmond, starting at Pine Street, which is downtown, all of Mukilteo, a southern precinct in Everett, parts of Montlake Terrace, and parts of Linwood. But of course, you all know that once a representative gets to Olympia, she makes decisions for the entire state. So I urge you to support me. Look around for people who are wearing my stickers, especially one with a clipboard, if you want to sign your name up so that you can receive my newsletter. Check out my website at elizabeth4state.com. That's Elizabeth, the number 4, state.com. And you can read more about me and see what my goals are. But I think you, of all people, are already familiar with me. So I thank you, and God bless America. And I say, let's hear it for our three most precious rights: life, liberty, property. Life, liberty, property. Life, liberty, property.